In.
Hey Hornets, how's it going? Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel. I'm joined by the magnificent Sam Yuko. Sam almost, as he started this stream, tried to intercept it like a prime Etienne Capoue, but instead he set up a debut for Charlie Bush. Now we all love Charlie. Give him a round of applause.
I'll give myself a round of applause there.
So you'll know Charlie if you've followed us on TikTok, on Instagram. Charlie Bush is doing his Charlie's Challenge throughout this season, where each match day he's going to have a different challenge. And the next one, Charlie, don't give it away, maybe just a clue for what we can.
Well, I did give a little teaser on my TikTok live last night, but how can I give a clue? A little clue is you're going to have to practice your spelling bee.
Potentially. It could be a little bit of singing involved as well. We'll have to
a little bit of singing, or a bit of both.
Or a little bit of both. Charlie, how are you, my man? It's lovely to see you. How you feeling making your debut? You feeling warmed up? You feeling good?
It feels good. Stable internet connection, which is a good start. So hopefully that continues the whole way through. But yeah, feeling good.
How were you feeling when you picked up your results today, mate? Because I remember, I was actually. You
know what? When it actually came to it, it actually took me until I had a bit of paper in my hand to actually sort of feel anything. The whole morning I was just like, didn't even clock that it was actually going to be results day today. And as soon as I opened that bit of paper, I was like, okay, it's actually real now.
Yeah.
But yeah, all went well, stress-free, which is good. And got the grades that I needed, all passes.
You're the man, mate. Let's send a couple of congratulation messages to Charlie in the comment section as well. Sam, it's lovely to see you, mate. Your voice is back, which is probably the main thing that people are thinking after Sunday. How are you? How's your voice?
I'm all good. Thank you to the people who did drop me a message asking me if I was okay. I suppose it's always the sign of a good away day when you come out without a voice. 3 points for Watford, followed up by what we'll talk about today, a cup win and 5 goals for Watford as well, a Tom Ince hat-trick. Doesn't get any better this week for Watford. Other than the transfer front, it's been a perfect week, perfect start to the season.
It was made even better, actually, and maybe a little bit worse, Sam, that you predicted Tom Ince to be top goal scorer last season.
It's happening.
What a goal.
Did you predict it this season?
No, I said. I think it was my hot take or my surprise package was Tom Ince would have a good season for us. I'll tell you what, the predictions for us have got off to a very good start. I think Charlie said we'd be in the top 6 at some point this season. I know it's game 1, but Watford are 6th at the moment. I said Matty Pollock would captain the other night.
Yeah, lovely shout.
Here's hoping that Tom Ince can kick on and hopefully replicate his form in the Championship.
Top man. We've had a few messages for Charlie. Well done to Charlie. Congrats. Jack made a great point, that brilliant like-for-like sub-swapping Charlie for Charlie, Wanzazera to Bush. Evening to everyone who's watching today. Look, as Sam mentioned, we're going to be touching on a few things today. So obviously MK Dons in midweek. I was at the game, and I think Charlie, you were there, right? So we give a bit of insight on what it was like there. Sam watched it from afar, but we'll all be there come Saturday for Stoke at home at Vicarage Road. But in between those two games, sandwiched is a bit of transfer news regarding Yaser Asprilla, Wesley Hoop potentially off to Saudi Arabia. Hurtado is gone to Greece on loan, and we'll have a bit more info on that one. And then Cleverley's had a few quotes this week as well. So let us know any questions, any comments you'd like us to discuss today on today's show, any talking points. But as always, if you could leave a like on the stream, if we can we'll aim for 100 likes because that's always the target. There might be more than the people who watch at this moment in time. But if you subscribe to the channel, follow Charlie, Sam, and myself on our social channels, and WD18 at WD18 fans. Charlie, let's kick it off, mate, with Watford 5. MK Dons 0, goals from Matty Pollock, a hat-trick from Tom Ince, and Barr rounding off a really comfortable evening in the end for the Hornets. Look, Charlie, what was your sort of main takeaways from that one in midweek, mate?
I've got a couple of things written down, main takeaways. First of all is the new style of football that Clevs has got us playing. It's almost like watching Man City is what I was saying, at a push. But it's just a completely different style of football to what we saw from Val. Obviously, under Clevs, we're now playing proper football out from the back, from goalkeeper, defence, up to midfields, and we're actually pulling it off quite well. It does scare me a little bit because I'm not used to the Watford players playing football like this, but it does make me a bit nervous. But we actually are pulling it off quite well under Clevs. And I actually debated throughout the game yesterday until I got home. I wasn't even realising, was it actually us playing well or MK Dons just that bad? But after second thought, watching the highlights, we actually did play some nice football, which was helped by the MK Dons keeper, which I'm sure we'll get onto at some point in the live stream. But he was absolutely woeful.
He was terrible. Sam, did you think it was Watford being good or MK Dons being bad?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. I'm interested to hear what people think in the comments. I think in the last decade, that was probably the worst team we've played against at Vicarage Road. I thought they were absolutely terrible, MK Dons. If you can think of any team that's come to Vicarage Road, the other close one was Rotherham last season, I thought were really poor. But I can't think of many other teams that have come to Vicarage Road and been that bad. Obviously, the big six have come to us and been destroyed, but quality-wise, obviously, we're not going to put them in the same bracket. So let us know in the comments. But I think when you've got poor teams in front of you, I think it can go two ways. I think teams can either become a bit complacent, settle for 1 or 2-0, and just almost use it as a bit of a training exercise, keep the ball, or really go for it as a confidence booster. And I thought Watford did the latter really, really well. We didn't take the foot off the gas at all, really, other than a brief 10-15 minutes about the start of the second half, where back of my head, being a bit of a pessimistic Watford fan, I was thinking, don't throw this away. But yeah, we were able to get that third goal with a bit of luck. And yeah, we were able to run away with it from there. So yeah, I think you have to say that MK Dons were really, really poor, but huge credit to Watford for putting their foot on the gas and keeping the scoring going throughout.
Yeah, we've had a few comments on Sam's take about MK Dons being the worst team he's seen at Vicarage Road ever. There was one from Caden, which says, MK Dons is the worst team I've seen play at the Vic for many years. Rio says, good to see you, mate. I think it's the most comfortable we've ever been in a game. They didn't lay a glove on us. Ian said it was a bit of both. Watford being good, MK Dons being bad. They looked good for 15 minutes in the second half. Otherwise, we were good. I actually have to say, to Ian's point there, when Cleverley made the 3 substitutions, we definitely gained a bit more control because it felt like we were playing on the front foot again, whereas the first 15 minutes were a little bit too much on the back foot for my liking anyway. Caden says Harness, the MK Dons goalkeeper, was Watford's man of the match. Do you know what, Charlie? Let's touch on Tom Ince, obviously getting a hat-trick. Look, I'm not taking anything away from the guy, but we've seen better hat-tricks, is probably what I will say in terms of it. Square across the box from Ryan Andrews, lovely bit of play from Loser over the top. Chest from Andrews, plays it across, lovely goal. I think the second one was the keeper spill, wasn't it? And the third one...
Yeah, that third one was the keeper, shot at the keeper, just palmed straight into his path. I reckon my nan would have scored that one, to be fair.
So, Charlie, just Tom Ince in general, I mean, look, as a confidence booster, it's fantastic for him. He'll be delighted with it. Were there any other players that stood out for you in midweek?
Standing out for me, I definitely think... not a standout player, but in terms of for the minutes that he had on the pitch, when Yaser came on, obviously the first time watching us play, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he got the assist for the quad wide bar goal. The little it was like a 2-touch, 1-touch to control it. He flicked it down the line, so much space he created, and then just laid it onto bar. We did hear from a lot of Sheffield United fans saying that he wasn't that good defensively, but going forwards he is good, and we did see that within the 20 minutes that he played in that game. So hopefully we can see a bit more from him. If he's fit, maybe we'll see him start against Stoke. But on that Tom Ince hat-trick that you mentioned, that was the first hat-trick we've seen since Josh King at Everton in the Premier League. I'm not sure how many days ago it was. It's going to be over 200, 300 days ago.
What a stat that is.
I'll find that out for you now.
Yeah, find it out. But I can't remember
what? I think that might be, Charlie, the first hat-trick we've seen at Vicarage Road since Odion Igalo. Blackpool at home.
Blackpool 7-2. Yeah.
I can't remember another hat-trick.
I can't remember any at the Vic, no. Obviously, Everton was away from home with Josh King, but I can't think of any recent hat-tricks at home.
It's
that
been
man goes on it.
1,027 days since Watford
well past the 300.
Since Watford last scored a hat-trick. That Josh King hat-trick was 1,027 days ago.
Oh my! What about at home? Does it say that or not?
I can work that out quickly. So it was what we said, Igalo against Blackpool, was
Igalo, Blackpool 7-2. I'm going to guess 2016.
So that was 24th of January, 2015.
2015. Oh.
Yeah. I wish we had Charlie Cesare on here. he'd have it straight away.
He's a
3,491 days since we last saw a hat-trick at Vicarage Road.
So a bit more than the 300 that I said then.
Yeah, a little bit more than 300. Charlie's touched on Tom Ince there. He touched on LaRouche, who I completely agree with you, Charlie. I think, a lot of people said, as you say, with the Sheffield United fans, that going the other way, he wasn't. He was a little bit suspect. Whether that's the case, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think the wing-back role suits him really well because he has to maybe worry a little bit less defensively. Whereas you see with Cleverley, he wants both his wing-backs to be as wide and as high as possible, to the point where they're pretty much on the opposition fullback. And I think that will suit LaRouche quite well, maybe a little bit more than Sema going forward. Sam, I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about the man that you said would be captain at some point this season, Matty Pollock. He scored his first goal for the club, first time he's captained the club. A great moment, but also as a performance, he'd be delighted with that clean sheet as well.
Took me a second to get off mute there. If I almost put a mirror up to 2 seasons ago, Matty Pollock's first season at the club, 2 games that stand out in that time was his debut, MK Dons at home. We lost 2-0. And obviously that Millwall away game where he had an absolute nightmare, and the sooner everyone forgets about that, the better probably. But you almost mirror that to this season in those 2 games, where the Millwall game, we've spoken already about how good he was, an absolute warrior. And then with his headband, turns up against MK Dons this time, scores, captains the side. And yes, it was a quiet night, but he did his job as captain. I thought he played some really nice balls forward as well. So, look, I think the progression that we've seen from him in the last 2 years is testament to him, testament to those at the football club who stood by him when I think at times he wanted to leave, but people at the club wanted him to stay as well. So I think he's really proved himself. My slight concern is the club did post a set of pictures today, training pictures ahead of the game at the weekend, and it looked like Pollock was almost taking his headband off. Keep that headband on for the rest of your career, son, because it's the lucky charm at the moment.
It is the lucky charm. Watford's very own Steve Terry or Butcher as well. I mean, look, I thought Pollock was good the other night. I wanted to give a shout out to Barr. I thought when he came on, he's got a little bit of an edge to him, Barr. I think I've seen it in pre-season at Stevenage. You saw it in midweek as well. He does like to leave one on the centre back, which I like because I do feel sometimes Bio doesn't do that. Rajovic had a couple of good chances in the first half. One he was offside, one he probably should have done a little bit better with, but it looks okay. It was a official debut anyway for Rocco Vata in a Watford shirt. Looked bright. I think Cleverley mentioned today that his sharpness is elite. Along those lines, there was something made about that. So look, he's highly rated. But the one I wanted to mention, Charlie, was Ramirez of Spain. And now he only came on for 12 minutes the other night, 17 years old, come through the Watford Academy. Tom Cleverley's a big fan of him. He said it in the 3 Counties radio piece that he did the other day when he was interviewed that he really sees this guy as a special talent. He's come into pre-season. He's got the respect of the players. He said he's slightly biased because he is a midfield player, so he sees that side of the game a little bit easier as well. But I have to say, did you watch him in pre-season? Because I have to say, he looks really comfortable on the ball whenever I watched him.
Yeah, I can't remember whose tweet I saw, but I saw someone say that he's an 18-year-old who looks like he's got 20 years worth of experience. I can't remember who I saw that from, but yeah, he just looks so composed on the ball. I mean, I'm sure quite a while back, Klez was saying in an interview that he wants to build his centre midfielders, to play a similar play style as what he was when he was a player. He's done that. We can see that he's done that with Tom Dele-Bashiru, who picked up a little injury, but looks like he's fit. But yeah, he's sort of implementing the same style with Ramirez as well. We're just so composed on the ball, obviously similar to Klez, can spray balls forwards, but also do a decent job defensively as well. And especially in a formation with the wing backs, at times we'll have 3 at the back. A role that Ramirez will play quite defensively as well. We'll need him to play at some point with all the players, with Andrews and LaRouche either side rushing forward. So it's a very important role, and it looks like Klevs has managed to sort it out quite well with him and TDB so far. Yeah,
absolutely. He made his official Watford debut, Ramirez of Spain, and also Quadro Bar made his official debut, Rocco Vata. Jonathan Bond is second debut for the club after obviously joining from LA Galaxy. Tom Dele-Bashiru picked up a little bit of a knock with his knee. Tom Cleverley confirmed he's fine, which is great. One concern I did have actually was if he got injured, who would come in, Sam, because I do look at that spot and I know it's been made that it's probably not a priority position, but I do think Dele Bashiru offers us something which a lot of others don't, in a sense, the way he progresses the ball, the way he can pick up the ball off the back three and really give us that control in the middle, which I don't think any of our other midfielders can do. You could argue Loser does it to an extent, but I do feel like Dele Bashiru is one of those where if he did get injured, Sam, it would be a concern. Do you have those concerns as well, or am I overreacting?
No, I completely agree with you. Something that Paul Robinson picked up on in our last video, so make sure to watch that if you haven't yet. Our reaction to the opening day win against Millwall is that midfield balance between Tom Dele Bashiru and Sissoko is really, really nice in terms of the way that they support each other. I think they complement each other's both strengths and limitations really, really well. If Tom Dele Bashiru did get injured, we'd probably see an Imran Loser and Sissoko pairing, or Kiembe move a bit further back. I personally am not the biggest fan of Kiembe in that too, so for me, that would be a no. So it'd probably be Sissoko and Loser, and everyone knows my thoughts on Imran Loser as it is. So yeah, I think Tom Dele is an absolutely crucial part of this team, and if he gets injured, I think we could be in a bit of trouble, to be honest.
The other debut was Mamadou Doumbia, who came on. He looked raw, only 18 years of age, but someone who again was like Bar, was really getting involved, and you just hope that he can develop into hopefully the talent that he can become. I guess just the last thing to wrap up on this, lads, is obviously it's 2 games played, Charlie. It's 8 goals scored. It's 2 conceded. On paper, I think if Tom Cleverley had said this would be the start to the season, he would have snapped your hand off. Obviously, probably doesn't tell the whole story in terms of the Millwall game, and at times we rode our luck a little bit. It was a comfortable win in the end after his substitutions. Actually, I felt that it changed the game. How have you come away from the first 2? Are you getting ahead of yourself, or are you very much just sort of saying it's 2 opposition that we should really be beating, and it's basically about now kicking on? Or are you reading more into these 2 results?
Yeah, well, my opinion's definitely changed from 10 minutes after the Millwall game and to now, because after the Millwall game I was thinking, you know what, we're gonna go and win the league, but obviously now I've composed myself a little bit. Millwall are a team that we've struggled against in the past recently, especially away at the Den. So either way, 3 points is a massive result, especially starts of the season. But I think, yeah, Millwall and MK Dons are 2 teams that we shouldn't be getting too excited about. I think definitely the season in the Championship where we beat Sheffield United at home was probably a completely different opinion that we could have had. Obviously, a much stronger opposition. But yeah, as we did concede 2 goals against Millwall, it just shows how vital those wing-back roles are, that when they don't drop back, that is what can happen on the counter-attack, which is where, as you mentioned earlier, we'll need CDB to be sweeping it up. So as long as we can keep that up against different oppositions, obviously having different styles of football. Obviously, Stoke don't play the same sort of Stoke as I used to back when I was younger. It was lob it up the pitch for me when that's the sort of memory that I've got of Stoke. But now I think they've got a bloke on loan from Liverpool, quite a good winger. I'm not sure if that is him, Stoke, right? So they have got some quick players going forward. So whether that means that the wing backs won't be playing as high up as they did against Millwall, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. There was one comment from Rio, Sam. I'm happy with the first 2 results. I think maybe we have a bit too much about us to go down, but 2 quite poor teams we played against, tougher tests to come. There was a comment from Jake saying 3 points away from home in the opening day is massive. Doesn't matter who you play. I agree. Ian says Stoke will be a big test, but don't think they'll stick 4 past anyone. That's famous last words. And obviously Charlotte will have this question coming up, one of our moderators here on WD18. So for Stoke, does Cleves revert to the side which played against Millwall, or have some of Tuesday's team earned the start? We'll get to that question in just a second. But Sam, just on sort of the first 2 games, how would you assess it? Do you have to take in the context of the teams we played, or are you maybe a bit more encouraged by the results and also, I guess, elements of the performance, even though there's areas to improve?
Yeah, I think 3 points is the most important thing. And obviously going through in the cup, I'm delighted with it. I'm delighted with the application of the team. I'm delighted with the way that we've played on the whole. It's a lot better than I expected. I think I said on the pre-Millwall stream that I was terrified going into the game. So I suppose anything would have been an improvement on that. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. What I would say is that it is a long Championship season. I don't want to... Part of the fun of being a football fan is almost getting carried away when you have weeks like this and a couple of good results on the bounce. So don't want to burst anyone's bubble like that, but I do remember people almost saying similar things when we played QPR on the first day of the season. Even Gareth Ainsworth came away that day and said Watford could go on to win the league after this. So it's a very, very long championship season. We've got 45 games to go. We've got 9 months to play. A lot can happen. I still don't think the squad is strong enough in the long term, particularly in that striker area. Ironic considering we scored 8 goals, but we really need to bring in a number 9 who can come in and hit the ground running. I also think if Wes Hoot goes, we're light at centre-back. We'll talk about all the transfer stuff in a bit, but it's a long season ahead. So I'd say enjoy this good run of form or good first couple of games while we've got it. But yeah, just be prepared for potentially a few bumps along the road.
Yeah, let us know how you assess the first 2 games down in the comment section below. I've got to say at the start of the stream, this is brought to you by Hertfordshire Mind. Now, with the start of the season, I've committed to it. Sam's committed to it. I'm not going to put Charlie Bush on the spot in case he hasn't committed to it, but Charlie Yaser has as well. Look, it's been 8 goals scored so far this season. We are including cup. Oh, yeah, 8 goals. Yeah, I've done my maths correctly. I did actually get 7 in maths at A level. So, look, that's what I'm going to say. Apart from that, I think I did. Yeah. But anyway, look, the point is 8 goals scored. We're including cup games. That means £8 donated to Hertfordshire Mind. Every goal scored for Watford this season, we're going to be donating £1. If you want to get involved, the link is in the description below, which takes you through to the Just Giving page, and you can donate as we go. You can do it at the end of each month. That's what myself, Sam, and Charlie are doing. But it's going to be, it's £8 each so far, so £24 from WD18 into the pot for Hertfordshire Mind, which is an amazing cause in Watford and then around the Hertfordshire area as well. If you could leave a like and share, as Surin said, massively appreciated. Okay, let's touch on a bit of transfer news. This is always the exciting bit, but there's always something to discuss with Watford. Is Yaser Asprilla still going to leave, Charlie? That is the question. Now, Asprilla was pictured at Watford in midweek, obviously in the Carabao Cup game. We've got to mention, actually, we've got Plymouth in the next round, which I don't know if you lads have any thoughts on Plymouth.
I'm happy.
Happy, Charlie?
Of course.
Got to be happy. But Asprilla, Charlie, is he going to be here come the end of the window? He was pictured training with the club today.
Yeah, he was back in training. I saw the statement from Clev say that he's in contention for the Stoke game, that he'll have a chat with him, see how his legs are feeling. Although, to be fair, we have played, it sounds silly if you would say this a year ago, we have played really well without him. So would it be a case of, would it sort of ruin things if we try and force his way back into the squads? Maybe it would be an appearance off the bench, if anything, against Stoke, if we're in a winning position or something like that. But with the Asprilla breakdown, was there something about him not knowing who had his contract or who owned the legal rights to be his? What's the words? Not his.
I think what happened was Rennes put in an offer of around £25 million. And basically, the sort of offer ran out in terms of they had a time to accept the offer. It didn't get accepted. It means Asprilla stays. I guess the question is, Sam, is the fact that I looked at him in midweek, and granted, I stayed after the game, I had a little look at sort of what was happening. Asprilla came out the tunnel, and he's having a great time with Kiembe, Bayo, Andrews. They're all hugging each other. The one thing I would say about this Watford team, you can already tell, number one, they're playing for Cleverley in terms of the vibes, but also the vibes between each other. There is a really good sense, I think, in this dressing room. There might be some question marks over the quality in some positions, but in terms of the morale and chemistry, it's definitely there, and they're playing for Clevs. But on Asprilla, Sam, did you read anything into the fact that he was there at Vicarage Road in midweek and the fact that he was pictured training? Can he feature at the weekend?
It's a big question. Can he feature at the weekend? I think if Yaser Asprilla did stay, it would almost feel like a new signing, wouldn't it? Because I think a lot of Watford fans subconsciously have almost accepted that he's now left the club. But if he does stay, that would be absolutely phenomenal. A part of me wasn't surprised that he was at the game the other night. In a way, I think it's good to see because he is an employee of Watford Football Club. We are paying him. So it is... he hasn't taken sick leave yet. So, because we are paying his wages, it is good to see him coming along to support his teammates. But I think you're right, Jacob. The videos that you sent over and that we posted on our socials, the vibes did look great. He looked really, really comfortable around his teammates. It's interesting because sometimes I feel like when a player's trying to leave is the wrong word maybe for Asprilla, but when a player's almost in that no man's land between clubs, they almost wouldn't want to be seen with their teammates and things might become a bit awkward. So the fact that Asprilla is putting himself front and centre, I think is credit to his attitude. I think it suggests that he's potentially wanting to get stuck in and get involved again. And I think it's credit to, I think credit has to go to Tom Cleverley as well, because previously we've seen that players, when we've wanted them to leave, have always been completely left out to the point where we make them unhappy, making them train with the academy and the under 12s or whatever, just to force them out the door. So yeah, good that Tom Cleverley's welcomed him back into first team training.
Charlie, I wanted to ask you about Asprilla. Let's assume he does stay. Where would you play him?
It'd have to be in that number 10 with Georgie. I'm not sure who the striker would be, who the best fit striker is to play in front of him. I'm not sure if I want to give Bar a run in front of Georgie Chapatazzi and Yaser Asprilla. Obviously, in the previous season, he did come on off the wing for us, so it would be a little bit of a different role play, more of a central role. But I'm sure he can do absolutely a magnificent job in the Championship. But as we know, the Championship's a very physical league, especially in the middle of the park. So if he can build himself up even more than he has this year, he definitely has bulked out a little bit since he first played for us. But definitely, if he plays in that attacking role behind the striker, he'll need to beef up a little bit. But I'm sure he'll do an absolute job there anyway. Just
whisper it quietly. If Asprilla stays, that is a tasty 2 with Asprilla and Georgie.
Wow.
That is, I mean, I have to say, Sam, we mentioned about maybe, we need enforcements in some areas. But I tell you what, the prospect of the Georgian Wizards and the Colombian Starboy linking up in the Championship
potential
is exciting.
Oh, that is 2 out of the front 3. That is promotion caliber. That is top 6 caliber.
You guys hard to say that. Top 6 caliber, those 2.
100%. Chapatazzi and Asprilla could both easily be playing in the Premier League. The problem is, who is that third striker going to be? I think we both know that Bayo and Rajvic have limitations, albeit I must say Rajvic has hugely improved already. I think his body language has shown that Klebs in a way has put his arm around him in pre-season. He just looks like so much more confident, Rajvic. But Bar and Doumbia are a bit more unknown quantities. So we really need to strengthen that striking area. The concern, which is why I don't think we'd be near that top 6 anyway, even if Asprilla did stay, that first 11 is fine. The rest of it, though, the drop-off is quite vast, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it would be a bit worrying.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Asprilla will be here come the end of the window, if I'm honest. I think Mike Duffy, friend of the channel from The Voice of the Vic. Make sure you do check out The Voice of the Vic. Great Watford podcast with Ben Ayton and the gang. He said, not being funny, Asprilla is great and all, but if someone wants to offer £25 million, I think we take it. Problem is, will we reinvest? I think not. That's always been the discussion around Watford and Gino Pozzo, is whether it gets reinvested into the squad. I guess, Charlie, the question is, we haven't actually asked you this on stream. If you said to yourself right now, Watford need these positions, what positions are we talking and how many do you think before the end of the window?
We're definitely talking another centre-back. I think starting 3, I'm loving Pollock and Porteous. Still a little bit. Cyril was working his way up there for me, in my opinion. He's definitely with a couple of goal line clearances he's made in recent games. But I haven't been too keen on him before. But definitely in recent games he's been stepping up a little bit. But depth-wise, that those centre-backs, we definitely need. If Pollock gets injured, if Porteous gets injured, we're expecting people like Tikvich to step in, maybe youth players like George Abbott to step in. So I'm definitely thinking we need a centre-back in there as well. Full-back-wise, obviously an important position. I think on the right, we definitely have a lot of coverage of Andrews and Ngakio, who's obviously been playing on the left, but obviously is right-footed. So I don't think right wing-back is a position, but left wing-back, we've got Morris, we've got LaRouche. Maybe we need another left wing-back.
Got Sema.
And we've got Sema, of course. Sema can play. I know a couple of Watford fans aren't too keen on him playing in that defensive role. I think he is definitely a more attacking-minded player. So, but maybe in the style of play that Klebs is playing with the attacking fullbacks, maybe it will be based on the opposition of what fullbacks we play each game. So I think definitely a centre back, and as Sam mentioned as well, definitely a striker.
Sam, what did you make of Morris at left centre back? And did you think it said a lot in the week? And do you think it said a lot about what Cleverley thinks of Tikvich?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up actually. I think it's a reflection that it's not Tom Cleverley's man. And again, sometimes I think there is still going to be that conflict of interest between the players that the board bring in and the players that Tom Cleverley wants. I'm getting worried that we're going to get later and later into the window and the board are going to end up picking players from the sources that we all know about, and we're going to have to settle for those. And potentially the way that Tikvich was left out the other night, I think, was a statement from Tom Cleverley suggesting that, he wasn't necessarily happy with him and he'd rather convert a left back into a left centre back. And I thought Morris did okay, to be fair. Made a couple of really nice passes forward and got forward as well quite nicely.
Yeah, he looked comfortable in that position actually.
Better, I thought.
Morris. Yeah, he did. He did. I actually thought that suited him more than being a left back in a back four.
100% more protection.
I agree, and I also think he's not a wing back. I don't think Morris is a wing back. I think he is a left back, but that left centre back role really did suit him, especially when you can have more of the ball in a game like that. Jack says, I thought Morris was class at left centre back, nothing special, but always does the job. There is a few comments about Wesley Hoot, Charlie. So Stuart says if Hoot goes, we need 2 centre backs. Now the rumour going around at the moment is that Wesley Hoot could be off to Saudi Arabia. Now we know he's been linked with a few moves across this window. I'm just going to get the club up that's been linked. I guess the question is, would you be surprised, Charlie, if he did make the move and make the move to Saudi as well?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I think, especially he's not the young player that he was anymore, that everyone thought he was. I think he definitely is a championship level centre back, but anyone would take that sort of money. I think he's on about 48 grand a week. Is it Al Shabab? The Saudi club?
So I'll just jump in there. Yeah, the report from Saudi, from a Riyadh-based outlet, says Al Shabab have reached an agreement with Watford for Wesley Hoot. The club is now awaiting approval from the Financial Sustainability Committee to finalise all details for the 30-year-old Dutch defender. Sorry, Charlie.
No worries. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I think they've offered him something stupid like 48 grand a week, which is no way what the Portso's would be able to afford to pay him. So I think it'd be silly not to take it from Wesley Hoot's perspective. But of course, as a from Watford perspective, it's not the greatest. But I think definitely the form that Matty Pollock's on at the moment is making me feel a little bit better about it. I think if you were to tell me last season that Hoot was leaving, I'd feel a little bit more different to where I am now. Obviously, with our defence, I think Matty Pollock's definitely playing a much bigger role than he was last season. So consistent recently. Obviously, getting on the score sheet with the captain's armband as well. But I'd say one starting centre back definitely to bring in. Obviously, we're not sure if Almeida will be loaned out straight away to Udinese, but if he does get loaned out straight away, maybe a backup centre back in case we do get injuries. But yeah, the main point being that Pollock's form is making me feel a little bit better about it all.
Yeah, for sure. Sam, how do you feel about that centre back situation? Because I think Stuart made a good point in the live chat that, I think we'd still need a left centre back, but if Hoot goes, do we then need another one?
Yeah, I think we might need another one anyway, to be honest with you, just to strengthen up that area. But look, we're losing Wesley Hoot. If we do lose him, to be honest with you, at this point, I'll believe it when it happens, because it seemed that he was about to go about 3 or 4 times already this window. So yeah, I'll believe it when he's holding the shirt up. But like Charlie says, I am feeling slightly more confident because of the way that Matty Pollock started the season and the leadership that he's shown. But he is going to be a huge loss. Who we know how good he is. Player of the season last year, goal of the season winner as well. And that's going to be really, really difficult to replace with 2 or 3 weeks left of the transfer window. So yeah, it would be a huge loss. But then again, we can't really stand in his way when he's going to be offered that money.
Yeah, Jake says in the live chat, Kai is supposed to be staying and he's available this weekend. So that Wesley Hoot one, we'll see how that one develops. Cleverley said he should be available in a week or so. There are rumours on both, but still are players. And he said that Asprilla's in training and we'll sit down to talk to him about how he can assess his frame of mind and what situation he's in, because obviously there's a lot going on off the pitch with him at the moment. Someone else who's having a lot going on is George Hurtado, who's gone to PAOK on loan in Greece. They have an option to purchase the player. Obviously, Hurtado came on against Chesterfield in the FA Cup last season. He went on loan to Gillingham, where they like the look of him in League Two. Any of you guys surprised? Or, well, I say surprised, but did you expect him to have a future at Watford's, Charlie? Or does it make sense?
No. I mean, we haven't seen him very much in a Watford shirt. Obviously, was it Gillingham that he went on loan to?
Yes.
didn't really, I'd say, didn't really kick off as well as a player. Let's say Shaq Ford definitely had a much better loan spell than compared to what he did out in Gillingham. But I think the Championship's a bit more of a physical league for Hurtado. Obviously, we might be proven wrong. He might go and do good things in Greece. It's a much different league to the Championship, so maybe it'll be better suited to his play style. Who knows? But I don't think he was ever in the plans for a sort of long-term stay at the club, to be fair. Similar to, what was his name? Penaranda. Is it Penaranda? We've never really got to saw much, see much of him, really, either. Just kept loaning him out. And then, have we actually got rid of him now, or is he still lurking about somewhere at the club?
I think he's gone.
Yeah.
He might be somewhere there, just lurking about.
I mean, do you know what? Just to jump in, by the way, before I forget, Tikvik reminds me of Gabriel Tamas. Do you remember what
I think I'm a bit too young for that. I don't know who that is.
Similar vibes, 2014-15. I don't know why.
Talking about Gabriel Tamas yesterday with my brother, we were going through.
Really?
Yeah, we were going through Watford's we were trying to go through Watford's last few Carabao Cup exits, and we managed to get to 2015. We lost 2-1 at home to Doncaster, and Tikvik Tamas gave away a penalty that day. Yeah, that's how he came up in conversation.
That's incredible. Do you know what? There is definitely a specialist subject in Mastermind or a quiz show where it's Watford managers and Watford players. I'm sure. I think you'd smash it, Sam, to be fair. I have to talk to you about the plans that Tom Cleverley has for the rest of the window. So I thought of you instantly, Sam, because I know you put a tweet out about it. Transfer targets are still expected to arrive by Cleverley. But the Watford head coach, says he's learned not to use the word close in future. He still expects to bring in a couple, but it might go down to the last few days. He's had plenty of support and backing from the club, learned a lot in his first window, and as I said, probably won't use that close word anymore. What do you make of those comments, Sam?
Wow. Yeah, he's learning on the job, isn't he? I love Clevs, but yeah, I think it was an immediate red flag when he said that. I don't think as a manager you can ever really, particularly on the transfer front, let too much go unless a deal is literally about to be finished, because I think this is the first time I've criticised Tom Cleverley so far as Watford manager. And I think rightly so, because he's ultimately raised expectations of supporters for something that, all right, it might be close, but we know that, I think his words were, there's going to be a domino effect in play, and ultimately the players that we want won't be released by the clubs until they know what they're doing in terms of players that they're bringing in. So I think it's a mistake from Tom Cleverley. I think it's probably a typical error for someone who's only been in management for about a year now, across under 18s and first team football, and it's something that I'm sure he'll learn from.
There was a comment about whether we should set a deadline on selling Asprilla, Charlie. If you're in the board, none of us have the sort of business experience of being in the boardroom, how we
do better than them.
This is a message to you, Scott Duxbury. Charlie, do you think Watford should do that? Set a deadline and say, look, if he's not sold by this point, you're staying? Or, I mean, my concern is this runs to deadline day, and, for example, an Everton come in with a late 30 million bid and he's gone, right? And then it's disrupted a bit of the summer. And I think credit to Cleverley and the backroom staff, because it feels like they have actually managed the situation quite well. The fact that he can even be involved at the weekends. But if you were them, would you set a deadline, or do you just have to say, look, this is our most prized asset in terms of value? We can't do that.
I personally wouldn't set a deadline. I don't think putting pressure on Asprilla's place at the club will be a good thing to do to a player of his age, to be fair. And you never know, if we set a deadline, that might just restrict the offers that we could potentially get. I mean, like you said, if an offer like 30 million came from Everton, one, that's already more money than we were expecting. Two, it's a player that we'll get to see play in the Premier League with Ismail Assar. So I think I'd much rather see him go to a team like Everton than the Saudi club that came in for him. I think I'd like to see him play in Europe still. But in terms of setting a deadline on him, I don't think so. I think it just puts a little bit too much pressure on Yaser Asprilla, and yeah, I just don't think that we should do that.
For sure. Stuart says 25 million will be taken. They learnt this when they stuck with Sarr for too long. Ray says, seeing the interview with Cleverley, it does seem that they are doing everything possible to get people in. Let's hope they do. Very impressed with how Tom is coming across. Very refreshing. Absolutely agree with that last line. I think his honesty is going a long way with a lot of people. And look, as Sam said, look, there maybe I think he looks back on it and says there's a bit of naivety to say close to some signings, but you can never grudge a guy who's being honest with the supporters and being authentic. And Tom Cleverley's always been that as a player now and as a manager as well. He'll be turning his attention to Stoke this weekend at Vicarage Road. Now, the big question, lads, who starts up front? Who starts up front? You've got the choice of Bayo, you've got Rybich, you've got Barr. I would say a new striker, but we haven't got one in yet. So out of those three options, or Dumbia. So out of those three, who do you go with, Sam? Paul.
Can I pull out the Gary Neville line and say it's like picking a bloke to nick your wife? That's harsh on that. So good. It's harsh on Barr and Dumbia that because we haven't seen enough. I go Rybich, to be honest with you. I think he's like I said earlier, I think he's playing with this new confidence. He's far from the perfect player, and I think there was a chance yesterday that he probably should have done a bit better with. I'm not sure if he was offside, but I was ahead of it. He probably should have scored with after some good movement, but I thought Bayo was really poor last week against Millwall, albeit he didn't get the reception that he should have done, and he did make some nice runs. But yeah, Rybich, he scored last week. He's playing with confidence. I thought he had another decent night against MK Dons on the whole. So yeah, I think we might as well give him a go.
I would say Rybich's role this season, Charlie, is probably, in my opinion, one as a super sub. But after Bayo's performance at Millwall, would you consider bringing him in and starting Rybich?
Yeah, definitely. Like what Sam said, Bayo wasn't the greatest against Millwall, and I would have before that game I would have completely agreed with you saying that Rybich is much better off the bench. But this is a completely different Rybich that we've seen in the first two games of the season. We've always said that if you combine Bayo and Rybich together, you sort of in a dream world get the perfect striker, which obviously is not possible. But yeah, the sort of parts of his game that he was missing for us last season, we're seeing glimpses of that. He's going up for a lot more headers. He's obviously a tall striker. Previously, before, he wasn't really using his height to his advantage, is personally what I thought. He's pressing up to the defence, the goalkeeper, a lot more often, which is what I like from Bayo, which is why I previously preferred Bayo to Rybich, is because just that bit of pressing that he offered to try and win the ball back, bit of intensity, which we're now seeing from Rybich as well. So I think what one of the pointers I had down was for the Stoke game is to not make too many changes from the Millwall game, apart from the striker, which is what I was going to say. Especially with what I prefer to play is like what Sam was saying earlier, with Kiembe in a deeper role instead of in a number 10 role. Maybe playing a Rocco Vator or a Tom Ince in that 10 role instead. Then you've got two sort of more agile number 10s. Kiembe is obviously a good on the ball player, but agility wise, being able to take on a man, I'd much prefer Vator or Tom Ince in that role. And I think that Bayo is probably plays a similar style to those two players. So I think having a bit of difference up there with Rybich, with two more agile number 10s in behind, obviously Chavatatsi and either Vator or who's it I mentioned, Vator or Tom Ince. Vator or Tom Ince. I think that would be good to play against Stoke.
Let's go through that Millwall team, because Charlie's made some great points there, Sam, about the selection. So it was Batman in goal, back through Porteous, Sierra to Pollock, Andrews at right wing back, Ngakia at left wing back, Dele Bashiri, Sissoko, Kiembe, Bayo, Chakvadatsi as the three. Sam, you're Tom Cleverley. You're sat there over maybe, I wouldn't say a glass of wine. You're probably having a cup of tea. You're thinking about the Saturday game. What changes are you making, if any at all?
Yes, I think the strike one, like we just mentioned, I think is probably the most contentious one. Tom Dele Bashiri is fit enough, whether he'll play 90 minutes. There's another thing. I think he'd probably start the game, and if we're in a good enough position, he'll take him off. And then the other contentious spot, I think, would be that left wing role, left wing back. I thought Ngakia did have a good game, and we gave him credit on the last stream. But I did think that he was a bit limited, obviously, not having that left foot. And I think having someone like Larucci, a bit of an unknown quantity still, but giving him, like Rio says, give him an hour to see how fit he is. I think it could give Watford a new dynamic on that left-hand side, or maybe even Ken Sema there. But other than that, the rest of the team, I'd probably leave it because I thought we looked really, really balanced. Sissoko, Tom Dele in the middle, Kiembe a bit further up, but he has also got the ability to drop in. quick shout out to Ryan Andrews as well. Firstly, he's now got Twitter, so make sure to follow Ryan on socials over there. But a really good assist the other night, and I think that's an area within his game he needs to work on his end product, and hopefully he can continue working on that in the Championship.
Do you know what the best bit about that goal for me was his touch, because 100%. The way it looked, like the square across the box was lovely. But firstly, we all know he's got the pace to run in behind, but it's actually the touch across his chest was really a great bit of skill. It's so hard to execute at that pace as well. Not that I know, but I can imagine. And Loser's ball over the top was top draw. I think, so look, are we basically saying, lads, that Larouci comes in at left wing back?
Yeah.
I think so.
If he's fit, of course.
That's the only change, Charlie, you'd make.
And Ravic.
And Ravic
and Larouci.
Well, let us know any changes.
Kiembe in a deeper role.
For who, though, Charlie? So what, Sissoko or Dele Bashiru?
Well, if TDB is fit, of course, I would go for take out Sissoko and bring in a more attacking player. I'd go for Kiembe in a deeper role and Ince or Vata in the role that Kiembe was playing.
He's been on one stream and he's already giving out the hot takes.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this debut has been one for the all-timers. Like, if you don't leave a like for Charlie, if you don't follow him as well, I mean, come on. The guy's had an unbelievable debut. What debut? Let's liken it to a Watford debut. Who had an absolute worldie? Do you know who had an absolute worldie? Diego Fabrini. I remember he had a great debut.
You're right.
Definitely not Isaac's success.
It was success's debut.
You're right, Kutska.
Yeah, I got Euro Kutska against
Aston Villa. Do
you remember how good he was on that 3-2 win? He was unbelievable.
Cucho.
Was that Villa? Was Villa his debut?
Few players that day. Cucho, Kutska, Dennis all had unbelievable debuts then that season. Let's just forget that season after the first day, to be honest with you.
It's going to roll Sam up. Look, there's a few comments that we want to roll through. Lads, if you have any shouts, any opinions on these, give me a shout. And thanks so much to everyone who's watched there. We'll get to 100 likes for the end. There's 123 of you watching at this moment in time this Thursday evening. Okay, let's a few comments. Jake says Kiembe is undroppable. Stuart would bring in Ince for Kiembe. He says, I think Ngakia will be pushing Andrews hard at right wing back if Larouci nails down the left wing back role. Nick says, what about Loser in the 10?
Not for me.
It's definitely not for Sam.
Do I need to answer that?
I'm not the biggest fan.
Ryan is also 10 times better. Jack makes a great point. As like Charlie said, Sissoko needs to have his minutes managed at his age. It has only been one game in fairness, but look, you still got to manage them. There was one about Kiembe. He's undroppable. The Geography Geeks say, I love Sam Yuko, as we all do. There was one from Right, which is getting a lot of love. Charlotte says, I'd give Bar a go up front. Ian says, I'd give Bar a run with Rivich on the bench. Stuart says, Rivich has done enough to start. Bayer will quickly find himself fourth choices. He's not a game changer like Bar and Dumbia. And Rio says, Loser isn't agile enough for the 10, lacks pace. Okay, it's time for score predictions. Watford versus Stoke. Second game of the season. Can we follow it up with another win and make it 3 wins on the bounce? Charlie Bush, kick us off.
Kicking you off with a positive opinion. I don't think we'll have another 5-0 at home. I'm going to go 1-0 Watford. I think Stoke are a team that are probably going to try to hit us on the counter-attack, I think. I think it'll be a nervy game for them. I think it'll be 0-0 for the majority of the game. I think we'll be absolutely going for them. We've already mentioned our attacking wing-backs. I think we'll absolutely go for them. I think we'll be knocking at the door for quite a while, sneak one goal, and then it'll end as that, 1-0 Watford.
1-0 Watford. I'm going to keep the positivity going, Sam. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Watford win. But I'd take a point.
Nice, yeah. I always feel like by putting me last, I always put a down on everything. I said
excuses already for the negativity.
No, not negative. I said 3-0 last week to Millwall, so yeah, that definitely came back to bite me. I'm a really big fan of Schumacher, the Stoke manager, and I think they could be ones to watch this season, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with a point, I think 2-2, which I think would actually be quite a good draw for us. 4 points from those first 2 games. To be honest with you, I think a lot of fans would have taken that before the season started.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, let us know if you wouldn't, but I think a lot of us, I think all 3 of us here would have taken 4 points at the start of the season. And that's where we're going to wrap it up. If you could leave a like on the video on the way out. A huge shout out to Charlie Bush for making his WD18 debut on the YouTube channel. Look, Charlie, it's love to get you back on soon. And if you see Charlie on match day, Saturday for Charlie's Challenge, where are people going to find you, Charlie?
At home, Lower Graham Taylor, right by the halfway line.
And before the game for Charlie's Challenge, where can people meet you?
Before the game, outside the Graham Taylor, on the long strip. That's where I always am.
The WD18 strip is what we're going to call it. Charlie out there. Do you know what? Stuart's made a good point. We should keep a points table for our predictions. Thanks so much to everyone who watched today, guys. Really do appreciate it. If we get to 100 likes, I said it'd be great. Thanks so much to Sam. And also, this video is brought to you in partnership with Hertfordshire Mind. If you want to get involved with the initiative, £1 for every Watford goal. The link is in the description below. Take care of yourselves, guys. Wish also Charlie a big congratulations on his A-level results. And we will see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and up the audit. You want.